want a JDM car in America. I'm going to show you exactly how to make that happen. Forms, fees, ports, brokers, all of it. No fluff. Let's get into it. The 25-year rule. Before you do anything, and I mean anything, you need to understand the 25-year import rule. This is the legal foundation that makes everything possible. This guide covers importing under the 25-year exemption only. Importing newer vehicles is a completely different process. It requires a registered importer, the car must be on an approved eligibility list, and most JDM cars aren't on it. So if you're thinking about importing a 2020, anything, that's a different video entirely. Today, we're talking about the 25-year path. Under that rule, the NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, allows any vehicle that is 25 years or older from its exact month and year of manufacture to be imported without needing to meet federal motor vehicle safety standards. Separately, the EPA has a 21-year exemption for emission standards. If your car is over 25 years old, it will also meet that EPA threshold, provided it's unmodified from its original emissions configuration, which for a stock JDM import is almost always the case. Now here's the nuance that trips people up. It's not based on model year. It's based on the exact manufacture date, which customs will verify using your Japanese export certificate. So if your car rolled off the line in September 2000, it becomes legal to import in September 2025, not January 2025, not whenever the model year turns 25. The specific month matters. That's why cars like the R34 and the S15 are becoming legal month by month right now, not all at once. Check the manufacture date on your specific car before you do anything else. If it hasn't crossed that 25-year mark yet, you're waiting, and importing early can get the car seized at the border. Don't risk it. Finding the car. Once you've confirmed your car is legal to import, you need to actually find one. This is where a lot of people get stuck because you can't just hop on Craigslist and find a clean S15 sitting in your city. You have two main options. The first is going through a Japanese exporter or sourcing agent, companies or individuals based in Japan who will physically locate the car, verify its condition, handle all the export paperwork on the Japanese side, and get it ready to ship. A good sourcing agent will send you detailed photos and pull auction inspection sheets so you have a documented grade for the car's condition. That said, be honest with yourself about the risk here. Auction grades aren't perfect. Some exporters don't fully disclose rust, prior repairs, or paintwork. Even with the best agent, you are buying a car you've never touched in a country you're probably not in. Go in with realistic expectations and ask as many questions as you can before you wire any money. The second option is accessing Japanese auction sites like USS or TAA directly through a proxy bidding service. But unless you're comfortable navigating that system, most people stick with exporters, especially on a first import. When you're ready to buy, you'll wire the purchase price in Japanese yen. Walk into your bank, tell them you need an international wire in JPY, provide the exporter's account details, and it's done. Factor in the exchange rate and your bank's wire fee. Once the money clears, the exporter preps the car and schedules shipping. It'll go either in a container or on a RORO vessel. Roll on, roll off. Containers offer more protection. RORO is cheaper. Transit time from Japan to a West Coast port like Los Angeles or Long Beach is typically 2 to 3 weeks, though port delays, which have been very common since 2020, can push that out significantly. Don't book a one-way flight to go pick it up until the car is physically confirmed at the port. The broker. Here's something nobody tells you when you first start researching this process. You do not want to navigate US Customs alone. Hire a customs broker. Full stop. A customs broker is a licensed professional who acts as your representative with US Customs and Border Protection. They know the paperwork, they know the deadlines, and they know what happens when you miss them. Which brings me to something critical. There is a form called the ISF 10+2. For container shipments, this is required to be filed at least 24 hours before the vehicle is loaded onto the vessel in Japan. And for RORO shipments, your broker will commonly handle it the same way. Miss that deadline on a container and you're looking at a fine of up to $10,000. To get started with a broker, you'll sign a power of attorney and send a copy of your photo ID. From there, they walk you through everything they need. Real quick, if you're finding this useful, smash that like button and hit subscribe. We cover JDM imports, builds, and everything in between, so you'll want to stick around. Now back to it, the documents. This is the part that looks scary, but is very manageable once you break it down. From your exporter, you'll receive the bill of sale, the Japanese export certificate, the bill of lading, and the master shipping line arrival notice. Forward all of those directly to your broker. Your broker will also handle the CBP form 7501, the entry summary, on your behalf, so you don't need to worry about preparing that one yourself. The export certificate will be in Japanese, so you need a professional English translation. It doesn't always need to be formally certified, but CBP expects a proper professional translation, not Google Translate. There are services that specialize in exactly this for JDM imports. Expect to pay around $50 to $100 and receive it back within a day or two. Then there are 2 government forms you fill out yourself. First is EPA Form 352-0-1. Since your car is over 21 years old, you'll check Code E, the EPA exemption for older vehicles. Use the chassis number where it asks for the VIN. Sign it, date it, done. Second is DOT Form HS7. Check Box 1, which states the vehicle is over 25 years old. Enter the manufacture date, write used vehicle for the description, fill in your name and address, sign it. That's it. The fees. Let's be real. This is what everyone actually wants to know. Here's a realistic breakdown of costs beyond the car's purchase price. Shipping from Japan to a US West Coast port runs roughly $1,000 to $2,000 depending on container versus RORO and the size of your car. Customs broker fees typically land in the $400 to $500 range, covering ISF filing, entry processing, EPA reporting, and delivery order fees. Import duties for passenger cars from Japan are 2.5% of the declared vehicle value. If you're importing a truck though, that number jumps to 25%. That's the chicken tax, and it catches a lot of people completely off guard. Know which category your vehicle falls into before you start running numbers. The customs bond is calculated at roughly 3 times the vehicle's value, including duties and fees, assessed at around $5 to $6 per $1,000 of that figure. Your broker will work out the exact amount. Port and terminal fees vary, but budget anywhere from $100 to $300 or more, depending on handling and how long the car sits at the terminal, all in. Plan for $1,500 to $3,000 on top of the purchase price to get the car cleared and in your hands. And that number can climb quickly if there are port delays, storage fees, or if the vehicle is on the higher end of the value range. Lean toward the higher estimate and treat anything under it as a win. Picking up the car. Here's what you actually need to know before you show up at the port, because this part will stress you out if you go in unprepared. First, and this is important, customs clearance happens before pickup. By the time you're scheduling your port appointment and showing up to collect the car, it has already been cleared by CBP. You're not doing a customs inspection the day you pick it up. Once the vehicle is released, you're going there to get it. Bring original copies of everything. Bill of lading, delivery order, your ID. If you don't have a TWIC card, a transportation worker identification credential, you'll need a TWIC escort to get onto the port. Escort rules, pricing, and accepted payment methods vary by port, so call ahead and confirm exactly what's required before you show up. Don't assume. Also worth knowing, some ports won't allow you to drive the car off-site directly. Depending on the terminal rules, you may need to arrange a tow or transport rather than driving it out yourself. Check this in advance so you're not standing in a parking lot trying to figure it out on the spot. Practical stuff. Bring a fully charged jump pack because the battery will almost certainly be dead. Bring a gas can because the tank will be empty. And mentally prepare yourself. Port workers are not there to hold your hand. Go in knowing what you're doing, stay calm, and you'll be fine. Title, registration, and the DMV. Your Japanese export certificate functions as the title, and the chassis number becomes your VIN for US registration purposes. Before going to the DMV, you'll need a VIN verification completed by a licensed dealer or a law enforcement officer. Quick, cheap, or sometimes free. Here's where people get blindsided. Registration varies massively by state. Some states like Texas and Florida are relatively straightforward for JDM imports. Others are a serious headache. California has strict CARB emissions compliance rules that can make registering a JDM import difficult, or in some cases flat out impossible. Beyond emissions, some states also require the speedometer to read in miles per hour, or the headlights to be DOT compliant. Small things that catch people off guard right at the finish line. Research your specific state's requirements before you buy the car, not after, before. And that is the full process, from finding your car in Japan to driving it home with plates on it. A lot of steps? Yes. As complicated as it looks? Not really, once you've got a solid exporter and a good broker in your corner. The hardest part is the waiting and writing the check. Drop your questions in the comments below, and if you're actively working on an import right now, tell me what car. I genuinely want to know. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.